Hi there, welcome to IT Idiots, episode 2.
Well, return.
It is episode 2. Have you noticed the new episode?
The naming convention.
It is. So this is season 2, episode 2. So I thought we'll start with S02E02. I don't know where I picked that up from. It seems like quite a good naming convention. So we're back, and anything exciting happened with you?
Well, not really. I see you've got a present for me.
Yep, well, we'll come on to that in a second.
Okay.
And it's not for you, but...
oh, well, never mind. It's for you guys.
So, job-wise?
No, just working away, doing interesting stuff. But I'll save that for future podcasts.
Cool. So,
yourself?
More system center stuff, really, and playing around with the test lab. So, yeah, you might have noticed some of the people who subscribe, if there's any subscribers... I think some people, when I was mucking around the RSS feed, I think there was a lot of re-downloading of episodes going on. So apologies for that, but it's made our stats look quite healthy, I must admit.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
okay,
pretty
good.
So you guys are probably wondering why we're sitting behind this box.
Yeah.
Amazon.
I am, because I've not been filled in, to be quite honest.
No. Well, if you're totally amiss, you haven't watched episode 1. But yeah, this is all about the new server. So our fundamental idea is to just build a really nice test lab. And that's going to be the focus point for the podcasts and also the website. So if we've got a problem with SharePoint, with System Center, we can demo it up. And you guys can follow us along, install a lab with us and, learn and muck around with us.
Yeah.
So the problem we had last week was limited resources on our old servers. So we replaced one of them with a 32 gig server with solid state. And we need another one now. And that's what this box is about.
Right. But you're very proud of that server. You were showing me earlier.
Oh, I'm so... yeah, well, I'm going to show you guys later as well. No, I'm immensely happy with that one. It's just running like a dream. And it's a great test platform. And already I've used it to enhance my career, I'm going to say. So, yeah, this server, you notice it's an Amazon box. So we spec'd up an eBuyer server last time.
Yeah. I was surprised when I turned up and saw this.
Well, I wasn't actually going to get another server. I thought... I'll just stick with a 32 gig server because I reanimated the 8 gig server and that's all my clients on it. But I've got this crucial drive. And remember last week I was talking about solid state drives and I had a problem with that.
I've just ordered one, so I have no idea what they look like.
That's a 256 solid state drive in the caddy, in a 3.5 caddy. And yeah, this is one that failed. And we needed it to film the last podcast. And so I thought I'd just buy a new one. Because I've got loads of money like that. Not really. And
send money.
This was my faulty one, and I was about to return it, and the crucial guy says, oh, you can reset it. And you have to plug it in for 30 minutes, unplug it for 30 seconds, plug it in for 30 minutes, unplug it for 30. I thought, yeah, sod that, it's not going to work. And it worked.
Right.
So there's me sitting
So you did it anyway?
So I did it, and there's me sitting with a 256 gig solid state drive. I've got 16 gig of memory I've took out of the old server. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, all I need is a motherboard.
Only 16 gig then?
It's only got it's only going to have 16 to start with, but I look at upgrading that because it's coming down all the time, memory prices.
Yeah.
And this would just...
And solid state drives as well.
And solid state, 159 now for these
I paid half the price of what Nikki paid for that. How many years ago?
This 256 drive, November 2011, I paid 300 quid for.
So about slightly more than 6 months ago. Wow.
Yep, not bad. So yeah, went to Amazon and I was going to get a motherboard... processor and all that.
What about case?
And case and all of that. And I was looking on Amazon and I was looking at barebone systems and I looked at Asus and Asus have got a barebone system, which this is. So it's an Asus barebone system. It costs 130 quid. So, and what that is, it's the motherboard all screwed in. It's the case, all nice. And it's the power supply.
Well, we'll see because we don't know what's in there.
So I thought, well, that's a no-brainer really. £130 versus 25 for the case. The motherboard for about 80 quid. So maybe I'm paying 20, 30 quid extra, but a lot easier.
But it's all...
And it's all integrated. And it's in a nice small case, apparently.
Okay.
So I've got that. I got the i5 processor. And let's have a look at it, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, Amazon, I think, are quite infamous for over-packaging. So I'm quite interested to see how big or small this is. Because sometimes you order something this small and the packaging's like this big. Yeah,
so it's only got the ATX case. I suppose I don't know. I don't think this is over-packaged. I would imagine it's fairly beefy.
Okay. All right.
Shall we take a look?
Yes.
Well, I've got no idea how this is going to work. But we seem to be... Well, the camera's moved anyway. So, yeah, here's our knife. So let's unbox. It's like Christmas almost.
Is it now?
So yeah, so Asus box. The i5 processor we got. Yeah. The i5 processor, what I've got, do you know what clock speed it is?
What? No.
It's one of these ones that says unleashed on it, and there's no clock speed on it.
Unleashed?
Yeah, got no idea. Ooh.
Oh, there's another box to unbox.
There's another box. There's a box in the box, in fact.
This is like when we were kids, and what's that game? This has absolutely got nothing to do with what you just bought. Seriously?
Is it not?
No. Alright, get out of the way. Ta-da! B-series.
Right, do the taping thing. You got a knife. So it looks nice and forward, because the other important thing is it's got to fit in my cupboard next to my washing machine. So I can't be getting no big towel case.
Does it not matter about the humidity and all that?
It's getting quite warm in there, you know. It is.
Right.
Have to DR it. This might be a fast one.
RTFM.
Not bad. Right, how'd you get in it, do you reckon?
Unscrew.
Where's the house? The motherboard's got to be down there. And we need a screwdriver.
Let's have a look what that says.
System centre.
Where'd you get that?
Tech head.
What, the same tech ed I was at?
I think so, yeah.
Well, why didn't I get that?
Because you were mucking around on the SharePoint. And
Well, I didn't get no SharePoint screwdrivers.
That's because you don't have one. You just can't think of any derogatory comments at the moment.
Good. Keep it that way.
Can't do that one.
Ha! Oh, shoot.
I thought it was an angle thing.
It is an angle thing. No, it's a strength thing.
So yeah, you shouldn't really be doing this in any kind of carpeted environment, which we're on.
Oh, why? Because of the static?
Static, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't know if people can see inside there.
Yeah, I'm sure they can.
So it looks nice and clean. All we've got to do is get that in there somehow. So, look, read the speed on that.
Okay, it says... What? Unlocked and unleashed. I'm not sure what that means. 4 cores, 4-way multitask processing, Intel Turbo Boost Technology 2.0, Intel HD Graphics 3000. Yeah, it doesn't really mean a lot to me. I can just about pronounce it. 3-year limited warranty.
Right, so yeah, here's the motherboard. The cables are out of the way. That's where the processor goes. And that's the processor. So,
Let's get out of the shot.
so that seems like something's gone in.
Does it only go in one way?
Yeah, I think so. So nice little clip. So if the pins weren't lined up, they're well and truly bent now, anyway. And so that's it for this guy. So presumably we need to plug it in somewhere. So it's not that way around, it's got to be that way around. You know what, I'm going to actually... You know, no one's going to employ me after looking at me do this. Do you know that?
I'm keeping that statement in.
It's all clipping, it's feeling good. Oh, that one doesn't clip. I think that's in. Right, power supply lead, where's that going? And there's something on the motherboard, it looks like it fits, and it's roughly in the right place. So I'm going to plug it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it fits, so. Memory wise, I suppose we'll do that next. Now the issue I might have with the memory is it's got this big heatsink on it. You see that? Mm. So apparently I've read on Amazon, on the reviews, they say I might need to remove that because it might fail with the hard disk I put in.
Okay.
But the solid state drive is really small, so I can't see that happening. But let's just see what happens. So, memory in. Right, next off is solid state drive. So there it is. I hope I've got a solid state, I've got a SATA cable. So I'm looking on the motherboard for any signs of SATA cables, which I can see none. Right.
Shouldn't they be sticking
So
out of the...
these are the, you can see in there, I don't know if you can focus on that, they're the SATA ports down there. So we've got two 6 gig and we've got four 4 gig ones. So I've just plugged it into the 6 gig one, but I will be needing a cable. And I might have to go look in the room for a moment. But other than that, that's going to fit in like that.
So what difference does it make? 6 gig, 4 gig?
Exactly that. I mean, the hard disks aren't going to run that speed anyway, so... You know what I should have done? I should have put the disc in before I put the memory in. Unless I can get that over there. No, so you don't need to do that. It's really important you get the grinding noises on. Ta-da! Right, so have you got any holes that line up?
Looks a bit loose.
Thanks for your help, Sufe. A lot of help there. So, SATA cable. Get a SATA cable with it. So let's stick that in and stick some power in. As I say, no one's going to employ. Don't let me near your servers, guys. So let's give it some power. I'm so glad I got this cased, you know. It makes it a lot easier.
Otherwise, this episode might be 3 times longer. And
you can see the kind of way I put these things together. There's a high possibility it never would have worked. So,
please do that.
We've got everything looks okay. I think we've got the CPU fan plugged into something that fits. I think that's okay. Got the SATA thing in there. And the nice thing now, you don't have to worry about floppy drives at all. So we're going to boot from USB to do the install. Don't need to
worry. We've not had to worry about
floppy
that
drives or CD drives. As I say, I'm over 40 now, so cut me some slack. Right, so next off, let's fire it up and have a look at the install.
Okay.
Got on VGA on this thing. That's bizarre, isn't it? Oh, and we're getting some kind of BIOS. CPU installed. F1 trying to set up. Is it picking that up on screen? Yeah, no, that's what you want now. So we just look inside the BIOS and I can see the CPU.
Do you know, I have never seen BIOS set up looking like this. It's normally a DOS sort of screen.
Oh no, look, you get mouse and everything now.
Wow!
You know, so it's proper advanced stuff in here. So virtualization, I need to make sure that the virtualization is enabled. I'm not so familiar with this BIOS, but I'm guessing that's in advanced mode. Into advanced mode, yes. Right. Sure, there'll be somewhere that says Intel virtualization or virtualization.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, so.
When enabled, a VMM can utilize the additional hardware capabilities.
Right, so that's all good. And the next step, if this is going to be truly easy, I shall get my USB hard disk, which was on the table. Right, so USB plugged in. I'm having trouble plugging the USB port in here. Okay. Right, then normally there's a save and exit, isn't there? I'm going to go with F10. Hey, look at that. Dell. On Dell machines, they really should be dealt into the BIOS, shouldn't they? Let's go to boot menu. And it's the Samsung, that one. So UK.
The world's greatest music company. The world's greatest music company.
Okay, so it's just installed in record time, so I'm just going to change the password. I've got to watch out for this keyboard. Have you noticed that light? Well, you guys can't see it, but this keyboard defaults having number lock on.
Oh.
So last time I changed the password on this keyboard, and I couldn't log onto my server again on the other keyboard, and I actually reinstalled the thing. So the only thing I plan to do on this is add the Hyper-V role to it, give it an IP address, enable remote desktop, and then I move it to my server room, which
Your server closet.
my server closet, and we can do everything remotely. So I'll worry about activation a bit later on. Configure time zone, configure networking, and knackers. So our problem is we haven't got the network driver.
Oh.
So this is a problem you sometimes get. Now the issue that's going to make it slightly more tricky for me is the fact that I haven't got a CD-ROM drive in this.
Oh.
And I haven't got a power supply. Now it's no problem, I can move it across the USB drive on another machine.
Like an ISO.
Yeah, move it across from there. So let's just have a look at configuration. Sorry. I never find device manager. Why is it diagnostics? So USB hasn't found, SMB and Ethernet hasn't found as well. So
Fabulous.
fabulous.
You make me feel so good.
Shut up.
So it's all installed. It's up to Windows, got the drivers on it. So the next step is to get that in there. So here is the ITDH showroom. What you can see here is server 1 there. That's our 32 gig.
That's Priscilla.
But behind the personal ones. And USB 500 gig hard disk to do scheduled backups every night. Don't want to be losing all that work. That's the 8 gig server down the bottom. Not doing much doing the clients, and I'm guessing that server's going to go where my shoes went. Right, I don't think you really want me to see me do that, so we'll be back in a bit.
The world's greatest music company. The world's greatest music company.
Right, so we're back. Server's all in place and powered up. It's got an IP address. I put a remote desktop on it, and the firewall's off. So hopefully I can remote into it. So what I'll do is I'm just going to quickly fire up a remote desktop. I've got lots of remote desktops running at the moment. That's what's getting all messy. So 192 we gave it, 168.0.103. Hey, so it's asking me to log on, administrator, and you guys can all see the password I type. You notice that shows you everything I type in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, right at the bottom
Yeah.
it does. Yes.
I don't think I typed anything dodgy. Okay, so there's my server. We can access it remotely. And if I just go to properties of that. I'm just going to check. So it's in 16 gig, that's all okay. And I'm just going to go straight into it and add the Hyper-V role into it.
Okay, so this machine is going to be another...
Just going to be another Hyper-V host machine.
Okay.
So add in Hyper-V and we join it to the domain. So we've done Hyper-V a few times now, so it's just asking me what network card it's going to use to bridge out. And there's only one network card, so not much choice there. So we'll want to restart. I'm going to say no to that restart. If this is production, I don't do things like this. I normally quite, if it wants to restart, I'll restart it, then do the next thing, then restart it. Because I have had problems before, and I certainly wouldn't do this in real life. But what I'm going to do is just join the domain at the same time. And hopefully this won't cause a problem. DNS should all be okay. That says ad.ihqlab.com, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So, cool, the first problem. DNS name is not. So what I'm going to do is just check the network configuration of this, make sure I've got the DNS server.
Oh no, you've got a comma instead of a dot.
ad.ihqlab.com. That's better.
That's a classic case of not reading the error message.
Well, we read the error message, but we just didn't bother typing and looking at what we typed in. Okay, let's restart this. So it's solid state, it won't take too long. And we just let that reboot. So what I'm going to do is, I just want to show you a virtual machine manager, which is lurking here somewhere. I think it's this one. So virtual machine manager, we'll cover this in a lot more depth when the time or opportunity arises. But I'm using virtual machine manager to look after all of those nodes. So rather than look at each individual node, this one can see all of them. So this gives you some kind of idea of what I'm currently running on those two machines. And actually, I'll tell you what I'll do. I just go into the host and let's just group by what's in each host machine. So we can see on a Hyper-V one, that's my 32 gig solid state one. We've got a virtual machine manager, we've got the mail server, we've got SQL server, a couple of service manager machines, operation manager, orchestrator, and config manager. And on the low-powered one, we've only got the client machines. So what I also want to do is we'll add the Hyper-V server into Virtual Machine Manager as well. Okay,
and that will show up as a third node.
It'll show up as a third node in here, and instantly, as soon as I do that, I will be able to move some of these virtual machines across to it. Because already, I don't know if some of you saw that, what we've got, because of the integration of Virtual Machine Manager and Ops Manager, what's happened is Ops Manager's reporting to Virtual Machine Manager, all these hosts are getting a bit overburdened. And so what Virtual Machine Manager's just popped up a little warning saying all the hosts are burdened. Now, if I had a third node, what we could do is get it to automatically start moving it to the third node so it balances them all out.
And this is comparable to the VMware vMotion.
That's dynamic resource scheduling,
right?
Which does use vMotion as the end result. So it looks at the nodes and says, or looks at the host machine and says, that's busy, let's vMotion it to someone else.
Oh, and performance is never affected while it's being moved?
Well, at the moment, I'm not in a clustered environment, so it will have to suspend, move, and bring up again. So yeah, it's not really good in the lab environment. But if it's real, this would be part of a Hyper-V cluster, and you could do it all automatically.
I see. So
Server 2012, when that comes out, we can put all of these as three hosts, and you can have high availability between them. Because what it does, when you install a VM on one machine, it replicates to the other machines.
Right.
So I might need to think about upgrading my network as well when it starts doing that. So my point was, let's see how far we can go into Virtual Machine Manager. I assume the other server's booted up. So what I'm going to do in here is just add the node straight away. So if we go into VMs, onto hosts, I think under here we've got add Hyper-V host and cluster. And you know what, if I didn't even need to put the Hyper-V role on it, because this would enable it.
It'll detect any server and...
So it's a Windows server. I'm zooming in. So how I'm going to use for discovery, what I'm going to do is type in my username, xqlab /administrator, and my password, which is not very secure, as you guys can see. So the computer name is xqhip-v-03. Now the other things I've done on this domain is I've got a policy in place so that when I join that to the domain, I made sure the policy disables the firewall and does a few other nice little things just to make my life a little bit easier. So it's found it. Let's select that. Zoom out. Let's click on next. What's it saying? See, if Hyper-V role is not enabled, then it will do it for you. I've enabled it. And I won't spend too much time on Hyper-V, just want to say we'll add that in. The other nice thing, I've got Ops Manager, so an agent will be deployed to that Hyper-V server whilst we're talking probably. Config Manager will be deploying the agent on that, so you should get some updates on it. It's great. Get no sleep nowadays with this stuff.
So at some point we'll be doing some episodes on configuring.
Yeah, what I really want to do, and obviously these, not obviously, but the first couple of episodes we're doing is really our return. Yeah. And what I'm trying to do is just establish what we're doing, which is the concept of building a lab, building your own lab. I couldn't wait for the podcast to do an install per episode, to be honest. So I just set it all up. And what we can do is, based on your feedback, is go through each one by one. Mm. I think I do Config Manager first because we had a few requests on that. Mm. And obviously Windows 7 deployment. It's all good. Right, so completed with info. Don't know what the info was. Can enable multipath I/O, so I'm not using a SAN, so it's not relevant. So all good. So I can now see Hyper-V 3. No VMs on it. And I'll tell you what I'll do. Should we move a VM across?
Okay. How long is it going to take?
Well, I'll kick it off. So here's my window. Here's one of my no, let's move something that's a bit more deserving across to the new machine. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to move an orchestrator across. The other thing, what I've learned, and this is a good hint, last week we did differencing disks. Do you know I said they're really great? Mm. They are really good, but I wouldn't be able to move Config Manager across because it's using a differencing disk.
Oh.
So I've decided against using differencing disks in the future and Operation Manager. Good to start with. If you're on one node, it's still a good thing to do if you're on a single laptop. But if you've got a couple of nodes, you are restricting yourself a little bit. So let's... Unless
you put it in a mapped drive. Well, but then you'd be going over the network.
Yeah. It'd be really dodgily slow, even if it supports it. Right, so I'm just going to migrate that one across. It's going to say, well, what host do you actually want to migrate this across to? And it's using Operation Manager, it's going to look at host number 2, host number 3 as an option, and it should give host number 3 a better star rating, which it hasn't.
4.5. No, nothing.
It hasn't in this case. And why is it moaning? What it's moaning about is the local area connection on Hyper-V number 3 hasn't got the same name as the one on Hyper-V number 2.
Okay.
It's a little bit messy. Local connection, sufficient resources cannot be found. That's a real shame because I wanted that to just sort of work. So I'll tell you what I will do on here. I'm going to knock up a new Hyper-V, a new virtual machine, just to make sure that node's working. So I'm going to create a new one. We'll create a new virtual disk for it. Oops. And again, screen resolution wants to be a little bit higher than this. So let's call it a test machine. Just click on next. Hardware profile. Again, this is just the virtual resources, so one processor, that would be fine. Memory wise, we can give it dynamic memory. Let's go 1024 to 2048 perhaps. Click on next. And place a virtual machine on a host. Which is going to be...
It's got a rating now.
Yeah, it's because this isn't associated with the network at the moment.
Okay.
We can solve that, but I just want to do a little bit of demos in this without getting bogged down, but unfortunately it didn't go too well. So logical network. actually, I see what the problem is. It hasn't picked up the virtual network. And do you know what the problem is?
You didn't configure it.
I haven't configured the virtual network. So I think this has turned into a good episode, because what I can now do is show you how to configure the virtual network.
Okay.
And
then move it across.
And then move it across. So what I'm going to do on this machine, I've got an RDP back into it, haven't I? 192.168.0.103.
So you configure it within the virtual machine itself.
What the
network, virtual network.
The virtual network's got to be configured on the host.
Right.
Now I could actually use Virtual Machine Manager 2012 to do that, but because some of you guys won't be running that, well, that's the excuse I'm going with. I'm going to use very much the old way. So if we go into roles, let's click on Hyper-V. Ignoring anything with a red cross, and go into Virtual Network Manager and create a new virtual network. See, I thought we did this as part of the wizard, didn't we? Do you remember me saying? We did do it. You rewind. You weren't paying attention.
Yeah,
because
you
I said this is the one where it bridges over.
Yes, but you said
see?
you selected one because there's not much choice. I do remember.
So I'm going to call this one local area connection virtual network, just to keep it the same as the others, because that's what they refer to on the other one. It's going to bridge out of there, Realtek, and it's okay that.
I hope everyone else isn't getting as dizzy as I am.
What with zooming out? That's like 70s, isn't it? 70s. Some of you might have seen that's probably going to kick me off this RDP session, so I'm going to carry on going back to Virtual Machine Manager, wherever that might be. VMM, there it is. And what I could do, what should I do first? I create a new virtual machine. New virtual machine with a blank hard disk. What I do, that's the name. I'm happy with that.
Well, on
Actually, I'll tell you what I will do is I'm going to go down to the network card, and I'm going to add in the legacy network adapter. You might say, well, why are you adding the legacy network adapter in?
Why are you adding the legacy network adapter in?
I knew that was coming. The reason we're adding in the legacy network adapter is that's the legacy one was in there. The legacy network adapter actually ports Pixie Boot. So what I'll do is I'll remove the one I've just added, and maybe you could edit that out to make me look less stupid.
I highly doubt that, Nicky.
So we'll place it on the host. And again, our star rating, I'll put it on number 3. Click on next.
So has it picked up a star rating? Oh no, this is still the different.
It hasn't picked up the bloody virtual networks yet. This is the problem you get sometimes with Config Manager, because I created the virtual network in Hyper-V, and not Config Manager, Virtual Machine Manager is sort of lacking a little bit behind. So there's one thing that we can do. And the thing is, I don't know at the moment.
Why is that stopped? It's the machine you created.
It's the machine I've just created. I want to put it on a network, just to show you something. So legacy network adapter. Connected. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go to the Hyper-V console. Now this is where you're going to feel sick.
I'm not going to look. Tell me when it's all over.
Because I'm 192.168.0.103.
Should I use the PC?
And let's go to the Hyper-V machine as Hyper-V number 3 sees it. And let's go to the legacy network adapter. And lo and behold, we can actually put it on a card. So that's all very exciting, wasn't it?
So you were meant to do this a while ago.
What was
and
that?
You forgot.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect and I'm going to show you some black magic now. So starting up, so little test on Hyper-V number 3. All seems to be working okay at the moment. And trying to get an IP address from Pixie. Hold up. Contacting a server. What's going on there? I'll wait here for a little bit while you ponder that.
I wasn't paying attention.
No, so what I'm doing is I'm basically Pixie booting the machine.
Oh.
And have a look. This is the ultimate test lab. This is where you can go. So any new VM you create, start at F12, and what's happening is, can you tell me what System Center product's in this?
Config Manager.
Excellent. Congratulations. So I think that's the first thing we have a look at, is look at Config Manager and how it can help you build your labs.
So you had an image already.
Got an image on Config Manager, which Config Manager looks after for me, make sure it's up to date. And any new machine I want to build, you just start it up F12 and it will build onto it and join the domain and everything. So I think that shows that that host machine actually working quite well. What I'll do is I'll just try and find the virtual machine manager.
Well, so this is why you don't need differencing disks, because you can do that. But if I were to install this, and so far since we haven't covered any System Center episodes, I'm going to have to install the OS one by one.
Yep. Well, there's some things, we'll get to that when we get in the lab. You can clone it and stuff, can't you? Right, so let's see if I can migrate this VM. This all very much depends on whether it's picked up, whether Virtual Machine Manager's picked up that other card yet, which I don't think it has. We've got a red cross next to that. The other thing I could do, and perhaps what I would be...
No, it's all right. It says it uses processors from different... it's not a networking error anymore.
Ah.
It's got a different processor.
Right.
Read the error message, Nikki.
Thank you. So that's another good lesson for you guys. Yeah, what's happening is server number 2 is AMD.
Okay.
And the other two servers are Intel. Now, you can change that on the property of the VM to allow it to migrate to different machines. However, that does require system shutdown. So what I will go to...
Do from 1 to 3 then.
Exactly. So migrate storage. Sorry, migrate.
Well, I'm glad you got the error, because I didn't know there was that restriction.
So move to Hyper-V3, red cross. No, it still hasn't picked up the network connection. So, do you fancy a bit of fast forwarding while I fix that?
Yeah.
Right, what I'm going to do.
The world's greatest music company. The world's greatest music company.
So I'm going to try again. So let's right click and go to migrate virtual machine. And we shall try and migrate it to number 3. So we can see in this list that number 2, there's no star rating on that. And when we look at rating explanation, we can see that's because it's using an AMD chip rather than an Intel chip. But how number 3 looks good to go. So let's just click on, where's my mouse, next. I could change the path on that machine, but it's only a single solid state drive on it, so I'm happy to stay with that. So now we've got the network card, we can move that across. So that's under migration. That would take a little while. If I go to the job setting...
Was that server up and running before you migrated it?
Up and running. So what it will do, it will suspend it and then it will migrate it across and it'll push it back up. So in the job side, we can see it's moving it. So I think, in terms of an episode, we've done enough, really.
I think so.
We've stuck a server together. We've installed it. We've added it to the domain. We've added to Virtual Machine Manager. We proved that we can install or create a new VM, and we're now migrating. And clearly, this is going to work. And we just don't need to show you the end result because everything we do works.
Are you sure?
Yep. So,
the fact that it is moving.
It is moving.
doing
It's going to take a
something.
long time. Let's have a look at change tracking on that. It's using all the resources now. See if I expand on this. You see, you're unnecessarily extending an episode. That could be gone.
Okay.
So 28% is done now.
Yeah.
And it's just not really going on to the 29. So let's go to Kentucky.
KFC.
Oh yeah, it's that next. But they don't sponsor the Olympics, so maybe we ought to go to McDonald's and be a bit more
Oh
supportive.
yeah. What kind of viewer are you, or whatever? Because they have all the marketing.
Till next time. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.